Good morning, traders. Welcome to our daily webinar. We will be sharing these webinars for this week on YouTube. So like them, share them, make your comments. Let's go. Dollar index. So dollar index broke out of this consolidation. Remember, once it came back to the top there, we assumed that they will break out because this would be more of a flat pattern. So we got some trades to the downside. I think some of us got Aussie, New Zealand. We got pound. Some people got yesterday because the pound was broke out very nice. Silver we got, and there are a number of more trades the traders got. So let's see what we have today and what are the trades. So after a movement like this, what you would expect them to do is you'd expect some consolidation. I think we're getting some consolidation here, and the breakout of that consolidation becomes a buy again. That will just be a flag. We're breaking out, we'll buy. We'll see how far that goes. We'll move it to break even because, you know, at some point they'll come back and make a deeper correction. So far, we're still going in this move, and we're going up. We're just about to break that top. So how high they would go when they break the top, we'll see. And we'll see whether this divergence stays in place or whether the MACD grows up more, right? Now, this move is very sharp, so I wouldn't be surprised if this starts to go a lot more to the upside. If that happens, then we will assume that, you know, the downside might be over. We yesterday calculated that this move could still go about 200 or so more pips before it goes down, and it could still be a correction based on the previous daily corrections we had in the last impulse down. So for now, we will not make any assumption as to whether this is at the start of the uptrend or whether we're still in the downtrend, right? So we will take this trade and we'll monitor it how it goes. Go back to the 1 hour. Let's look at the consolidation itself and see if it's ready for the sell, for the buy. No. I don't think so. It's very small. Let's see in the 15 minutes what's the structure of it inside. Okay, here's what we would do. You got this, and you got this correction in the middle of this. So let this pull back a little like this, and then we go for the buy. It's going to be some kind of a small running flat. You see, we broke the top. So what I would assume we do is let this pull back a little. Give it a little pullback like this, and then we can put an entry order for the buy on top. If you put the entry order for the buy now, just be aware that this might still go, but it could pull back and then go. So you'll have to keep your stop somewhere beyond the low. Just be aware of that, that we could be making. It will be good for us if they pull back here now. If we get a pullback into this, maybe in 1 hour pullback, that's all. I'm at 15 minutes, so 1 hour pullback would be more than enough, right? The next hourly candle just opens and come here, opens and come here. We put an entry order for a buy, stop here, and we're looking for that trade up. Right now would be a nice little running flat, so it's better that, you know, if it goes from there. So once we break out and we move a certain distance, we could put that to break even because this eventually might start pulling back. Just be aware, right? You're at the top of that impulse, a pretty good move. So it might not go very far today. If it goes very far, good luck to you. If it doesn't go very far, the worst case is you're going to try to get break even. Gold yesterday, we assume we took the sell. Those of who were with the trading room with us, we took the sell here. And once this break the low, I said you got to take your profit because this one did not show downside structure. It's still not showing downside structure. As a matter of fact, this is looking like a consolidation for upside. And if we go up, we would likely break this top because what we are getting is a big corrective structure in the middle of this thing, right? So we've got to move down. We've got a 1, 2, 3 up. We've got to move down. And it looks to me like this is going to go back up here. We might get this either in London session or in New York session, depending how long they consolidate. And I'm anticipating that it'll break out of this top. We might even break this top. This would be some kind of a 1, 2, 3, similar to this. 1, 2, you can look at it like this, 2, 3, like that. You can look at that, you know, at that correction in many ways. But I think it's a 1, 2, 3. So if we get the 1, 2, 3, yesterday I already showed you the patterns they could form. They could do this. We will probably come back sharp here to complete this one pattern. And then we would go back up and come back sharp to complete this one. A series of running flats. We've seen that before. So in the 1 hour, we've got a sharp move up. You see this is the lowest point. You can see that in the 15 minutes. That was a flag. We broke the flag. This was a flag correction. We broke it. We made a new low, and that's a sharp move up. Now you have a perfect setup. You don't want anything better than this. It's a perfect buy setup. Now they might stay here longer, and I wish they stay here until New York session because we know that the New York session, you tend to get the biggest move coming. But if this breaks out in the London session, we will take the trade. even if it goes in the London session, because this could be a good trade. We're definitely going to break this top, and we might even break that top. So this is a good trade setup you're looking at right now. What if it goes lower? Well, if it goes lower, as usual, we're not worried about that. That's not our problem. Right? We're looking for the buy setup. As far as we're concerned, this has to do this and go out. Well, if they drop lower, we will still be in this correction at an expanding flat. And then we would look for the sell under the low. Right? If it drops lower, we will assume that, okay, that's a big expanding flat because this is the lowest point. And this is a wave up. So we can assume that, okay, this is a 1, this is a 2, this is a 3, and this is coming down. But you wouldn't know that until it breaks the low. You can't confirm that until it breaks the low. And because we're consolidating more at the top here, the idea is look for the buy. Because this looks more like a flat at the top there. If we just had a flag here, if this was just a flag here, we would probably go for the sell. But because we're getting a flat, you got to be careful that they might go that way. And you can see, right? Yesterday we got the New Zealand, and we did yesterday, the day before we got in New Zealand, we got the Aussie because of the same structure. When you have something that tells you they're going to go in one specific direction, we go with that direction. So I'll be looking for a buy here today. Let's see if we get it. Silver we sold yesterday. This was a good sell. I managed to close mine at the bottom here because it started to consolidate a lot in here. And I was like, okay, good, time to get out of it. If you look at the 1 hour, that's the only big consolidation, right? This was one pullback. We survived that. Then it dropped and it starts to do a lot here. That's where you close the trade. Because I thought they will do more like this. And then they actually spiked down and did that. I was like, okay, let's see what that is going to do. So now you have a flag here also. See? Now, do I think this is going to go up like gold? I don't think so. It's possible, but I don't think so. I'm not looking for a big move up in this. Now, there's still a possibility that this could be a big expanding flat and we even go back to the top here, making this correction a much bigger one. That is still possible. But we're not going with that possibility. We're going with the possibility that this is going to come very close to this low. So we would assume that this is just a correction for more downside. Let's go and look at it in the 15 internal structures. The internal structures has a buy setup. You can see that very clearly. You have a sharp impulse up. You get 1, 2, 3. This is a buy setup. I think we should consider buying this, but consider buying it that it might just do this and then go down. But if we're lucky and they go higher, good for us. So if you're in the trade, you may want to consider taking profit somewhere, moving your stop. Now, if they break now, if this breaks out within the next couple hours, that's a buy. If it comes lower, if this comes lower or make more consolidation in here, then what we'd assume is that they will go back up one more and then we will sell during New York session. So we will not buy this. If it comes lower, we're not going to buy the up move. But if it goes from this level, we're going to buy it. We're looking for the buy. So we can literally put an entry order to buy now, but we will take off that entry order if this goes lower. Or even if it consolidates much more in here, like they do this. We see that, we take it off because this becomes a correction that will do this and come back here. That would be a sell setup, maybe later in the New York session, not now, right? So if they go now within the next couple hours, that's a good buy setup. We're assuming that they have to go right now. Within the next couple hours, like it can't go lower than this. If it goes much lower than that, that's it. Forget about it. We're looking for sales. Euro made a good move down. Nothing new here. They actually dropped through. So we are at this low now. And there are a number of ways you can look at this because we didn't break the top, right? So the first option we said was, okay, this was all, and we are going down. Then it made that very sharp move, which didn't fit much into the pattern, but you would see some corrections in it. If you put it with these, you'll get a flat in there. And then we got a drop to the low. So now they have to tell us something. Are we still in a correction? Are we going to go back up here, make a new one, and then drop? That is possible, right? We can make an assumption, 2 assumptions. Now, after we get this sharp one, we can assume that these 2 is a flat there. And this is a 1, 2, 3. We go back up there and then come back, right? That is a possibility of a bigger pattern to form. Or we look at this as a contracting flat. And this is just totally going down. So now they will have to tell us which one it is. So if we get a sell setup here, we'll take the trade. Right? If we get a sell setup here, we'll definitely take the trade. And then we will see how far it goes. Right now, they're making a flag. See? It's making some kind of a flag. So an entry under the low is a good idea. I'll take off this not to confuse where the 2 lows are, right? This low is here. So we will know we're at the low already, but I'll put an entry here. And what we'll do is we'll have to be very careful with this entry now. We'd have to be super careful with this sell because we know that this could be a turning point. So if you get tagged on this one, if they drop through and tag you, once it moves away, you will try to go to break even because we don't know how far this goes before they go back up, if they go back up. And the upside is possible as a running flat, right? It's very possible because we didn't break the top. So this sell is a good one. We'll assume this is a flag and very likely this might break. If it breaks, it might not go very far. If we notice it starts to stop here, we'll just take the break-even trade. But if it goes, wonderful. What we would prefer is they don't do that and they go back up like this. This is what we would prefer because this would be a better trade. The longer they consolidate here, the better the sell for us. Now, can it reverse? Like I said, it can, but I don't think this would reverse because this is more of a flat. So this would probably do this, break the low and then reverse. We'll still take the sell because we don't know how far it's going to go. We'll try to get it to break even if it doesn't go, right? So this was a sell yesterday on the 15 minutes. Those who were in the trading room with us, we sold this one, if you remember. That was a sell setup yesterday in the trading room because we saw that running flat. Put your entry here, put your stop here, and go for the trade, right? And it actually worked. I don't know where they closed because I left the trading room somewhere around here. I left in about 2 hours. So depending on each trader, how far you get it, if you got it to this level, close it now and put the entry order under the low. You don't want to keep that trading. Possibilities is they can go up, right? We know that. Or they can make a bigger correction. You don't want to live through either. Not the upside, not the bigger correction. So that's the trade setup, right? Everybody knows. I'll put one here. I'll put a different color line here so we will know. Let's put the blue one there too. Where is the... Okay, where are my lines? Let's get it. And let's change the color to the blue. Good. So you will know that this is the low. And that is the entry for the sell, right? Let's go. Pound. Pound was an easy one. You had to put an entry under the low and wait to see when they break out of this structure. Because remember, we had two options. That they could break here and they could go back up, right? So you would take the trade and we'll go to break even. So we did this live in the trading room. Once it hit this level, we said, okay, put it to break even. And you actually survived the break even. Actually, they had another correction here. It's a 15 minutes, nice 15 minutes correction, which would have been a sell if you didn't get in the first one, right? That becomes a sell if you didn't get in the first sell. But the first sell was, we want to see which flat it is. Is it this flat or is it going to make a third flat here? Because we've seen this flat before where they come here, go back there, and then come down, right? Well, it seems we've got this 1, 2, 3. That is the flat. So we're going down. What is the bigger picture now? The bigger picture is we're watching for this. Go back when this was going up here, and I told you we were going to get this. Especially if you're in YouTube and you're watching this from the YouTube. Go back to when, I think somewhere around the 18th or so, when we told you this move will definitely give us this down. That is one. That's one option. The second option is going to totally go down. So I think we have more downside to go. There's some more downside coming. If we get a flag, we sell. So what you want is a 1 hour flag to sell now. Let it make a 1 hour flag. That would take about 4 or 5 hours. I can see they're starting to consolidate here. We would like to see something like this. And that would be a very nice trade for us. Right? So whatever that correction is going to be, they will correct. It looks like they're all going to go into correction during this London session. And maybe New York session, we get some trades. Right? So for the next 4 hours, we want some sideways and then we sell. Something like this, but not as big as that. If you get a smaller one, it will work. You just wanted to do this, you wanted to do that, do this, and that would be enough for us to sell. Right? We're looking for sell setups. We don't have any buy setups in this. Aussie, same thing. Aussie was a good sell. That was the day before. You could have put a sell here yesterday as well if you want. And that was an easy one. That was a running flat, just like the New Zealand. So we've got a trade down. We broke the low. When you broke the low, you start to see, okay, what is the pattern? What is it doing? Right? Can it go up after we break the low? We have some divergence here, but this is still going down. So I wouldn't, call divergences yet. Remember, every time they break the lows, if you got a big correction like this, see the bigger correction, this big correction, this was a 1, 2, 3, that was a 1, 2, 3, a big correction. They came very close to the low. And once the low is broken, you can see that, I'll take this off, bring it here. Once the low is broken, that becomes the turning point. See? So we broke the low. Is it turning? Well, we don't know that. As of now, we still don't know that. So if we get flags, we're going to sell. That means we're going to go for a much bigger one, right? Remember we said it might be bigger than this. If we look at this, we have divergence here. And that means this one could either be this size. It could go a little more like this. Go back up one more. We will still have divergence. We can still get divergence if they turn. Because if they turn, we're going for about this size of an impulse, right? And we will still have divergence. Eventually, you'll come for the bigger correction and go, right? That is possible. One more up with still having divergence. We know that. But if they don't, and this is the start of the bigger one, if that's the ABC and not some kind of a leading diagonal structure. So if this is the ABC, this could come much more here. Then do this, then do that, and then go. So this would become your bigger flat. I'm drawing the simplest flat. It doesn't mean it's going to be that. It could be like this and then go. But I'm drawing a simple flat so that you have an idea what we would expect. We'd expect a correction here, right? This is the first impulse now. And how far that can come? Well, that can come up to 50% or more of this. So that means we will sell like crazy. I believe we're totally going to be out of that structure very soon. We will know very soon that this is bigger than this, and that will confirm. For my traders, you know how to look for that, right? Once you see that start happening, if it keeps going down, which means every flag we get, we're going to sell. It's simple. Every flag, every correction, we're going to sell. So go back to it. Every flag, every correction you get, you sell. Because the impulse is going down, right? Sell, move your stops. Sell, move your stops. So do we have any right now? Well, no, you don't have. This is going down slowly. You can see that. You can see it's no divergence. So do we have no 1 hour correction? No 1 hour flag. 15 minutes. At the bottom, you want to be careful with 15 minutes flag, right? They have a few 15 minutes flag here. But the lower you get, the careful you have to be of those 15 minutes flag, because you will go back up to make a bigger one and then drop. So I wouldn't advise like taking a lot of 15 minutes flag. You see the impulses are getting shorter under 15 minutes. This was the longest. This is short. This is short. And they might do this again, go like this. And then eventually you get a big impulse up. You get some corrections. You get another impulse up. We get a 1 hour correction and we drop, right? So you got to be careful with the sells at this level here now. Wait for a correction like this. Something like this would be perfect. I'm not expecting a big one like this. I'm expecting smaller ones like these. So any small correction now on the 1 hour, and I mean on the 1 hour, not the 15 minutes, any small 1 hour correction like this would be a good sell. What you're going to do is risk taking a small trade here that might not go very far. If you're capable of getting out for break even in case it doesn't go, that's okay. You can go with the 15 minutes, right? If you think you're capable of getting out of it before you get the big impulse or the 1 hour correction comes, well then okay. I think we can go with that. New Zealand also doesn't have any big correction. This was the first thing. I think that happened during the night. Some pullback there, very strong. If you look at the 15 years, a strong pullback. And nothing else to go with that. So I don't know if we're going to have another strong one like that before we go down, or whether we're going to put it with this one. I think it is most likely we can put it. You can either look at this as a flat of its own, which is what we did yesterday, or you can put it with this one. And that makes sense. So what you would want to see here now is a 1 hour. You see the divergence? You want to see a 1 hour correction, which means this whole thing needs to correct. This whole thing needs to correct. If we get a correction like this, that'll be enough. Something like this, not the very, or a smaller one like that would be okay. So you want the correction before you jump into the bottom here. Because you jump into the bottom here, and that's exactly when the correction is going to start. You get a big move like that, then you get something like this, you get this, and then we get a trade down. Right? Something smaller than this, even smaller than that. We don't want such a big one. But a small correction. If you're going to trade the 15 again, let's go back to the 15. If you're going to trade these 15 minutes, you have to have the skill level to get out of it before the big sharp impulse like that happens, take you out. And then you lose a trade for no reason, right? So let's see if we can get some corrections here today. It's going down. This is another 15 minutes one that is about to finish. See this? So let this finish and let them make a sharp move up. We might not get the first move up, but we can wait for the consolidation, get the second move up. If they give us a third one, we get it. If they give you a fourth one, you get it. And this would be a powerful sell setup. That should take about 5-6 hours, 7-8 hours. We'll get something like that, and that would be a good trade. So it's going down nicely. I got out of the trade a little too early. I got out of this trade a little too early. I probably should have still keep it, but I got out. I think I got out somewhere in here. Somewhere in here or somewhere in here I got out. There or there. I can't remember. I think most likely this one I got out. right? Because I got in the trade from this level and I thought we'll get a correction here. Well, we didn't get it. They actually moved a little more. So let's see. If I didn't get out there, I would have got out here. In any case, I would have got out here, or they would have taken me out with this sharp move. I would have still been out of the trade. So I definitely wouldn't have got that, because that was a night for me. I would have moved my stop very tight and be taken out of the trade. Now let's wait for a correction. Any correction we sell. Again, I repeat, this one we know this can go very, very far. And this is the first impulse. This is absolutely the first impulse down. How far it can go? It can retest the low. We spoke about that already. I'm not going to go through the process again, but remember, this can keep going for a long time before you get any very big correction. So any hourly correction, we will sell. They'll make a lot of hourly correction. Don't worry. You'll get some flags here, some hourly flags. Let's hope we get one today. We might be getting one here right now. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. If this goes back up, if this goes back up here and we get, we can already put an entry, but if they stay here for a 2-3 hour more, that would be perfect. So we might be getting one right now. We just want this to go back up to confirm that that is a flat. Silver we sold. That's a nice trade. I managed to get out to the bottom in this big correction here, just before that big correction started, 1, 2, and I was out of the trade. I survived this one, and then I took it off here. But we may be making a correction here for more downside. I believe so. But like I said, if they move from this level here, we buy. If it stays from here, we buy. But if it comes lower here, we wait for one more up, and then we sell. Right? This would be a perfect flat. So I hope we get a flat for the sell, because there's more downside before the upside start, right? We have a lot more to go down. We can come all the way to this low on the bigger picture, right? I think this thing could come all the way to the bottom here before they go back up. So let's hope today we get that trade. I want to see this consolidation here sideways today, and then we want that trade down. So I'm on the daily, the 4 hour, let it be a 4 hour correction. We already started, we have one up. I want this to come down back here, way back to the low, go back up, come back there, and then in the New York session, we get that trade. And that should be okay. Let's see if we can get that. Go to the 1 hour. As it stands right now on the 1 hour, if they break out from this point, it's a buy. But if they go lower, and I think they would probably go lower, if they come lower like this, then we wait for them to go back up, and then we look for the sell. See? That becomes a sell setup. Look at it in a 15. Right now, it looks like a small flag at the top there, 1, 2, 3. So if this goes back up, what you would have is you get this breakout here. It could go pretty high and then start the down move. So we can go for this trade. We can go for that trade if they go now. If they come lower, and I wish they come lower, I hope they come lower, because then we'll wait for it to go back up and then we'll get the sell. We'll look for the sell setup. So we want it to be not a flag as it is right now, but we want it to be a flat. Come down, make a flat, and then we'll be okay. Why is silver till at the bottom here? Sorry, I think I did it already. I don't know why it's still at the bottom here. Let's go back. Cad. I did the New Zealand already. Yep, New Zealand we did. Cad. So Cad, I got this trade, but I closed it this morning right when it started to pull back here. I closed it because I noticed this thing. And I said, okay, I'm going to close it here because they might come back here again. I was thinking they would start to do this. Well, it looks like they will go, but it's not going very far. So this is the third trade in Cad I closed, all for positive, 1 for break even, 2 for profit, right? So we'll keep buying. Fourth trade, sorry, that's the fourth trade. This one I didn't count, that was for profit. And in this one, I did 2 here, 1 for break even, 1 for profit. And then this small one as well, more of a very small profit, not a big one. We're at the top. And remember what I said yesterday. It's important how it gets to the top. Do we do this or do we do this? If we go slow like this and we start to see divergence, the chances are they could come back here. There's a good chance we could go back there, but that doesn't mean it will go. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll see how it goes. On the 1 hour, it's still going up, but it's starting to die out. See that move, the impulse, it's not getting impulsive there. That's why I closed the trade. So if they work their way up and we see something like this with a flag, we will sell. It might not go down like that. It might go like this, right? We know that. The downside is like that, right? The upside is sharp. So we will see how it goes, and then we'll make a decision whether we're going to, trade it or not. But if they consolidate again and give us a flag, we'll buy again. Which means if I get another pullback or a flag like this, a flag like this, a flag like this, or a pullback like that. So if they pull back like this, and I get a buy setup, I'll take the trade. If we get a flag here, I'll take the buy. And we'll see where it goes, right? So until we get to the top there and break out, Remember I said they're going to get to the top. So when they get to the top, we'll see whether they break out or whether they turn to the downside. But if we get buy setups, we'll take it. Swiss is consolidating at the top, so that's a good trade for you. See, this was kind of making that thing. I thought they would break. They didn't break. They just stopped and they started to go sideways, and that's good. If they're going sideways, that is a buy setup that we're getting right now. Actually, you're getting a buy setup right now. You have to be careful. Take the trade, but you have to be careful to manage the trade, right? Where is the... You have to be careful in managing that trade. So let's go into 15. You can see it. See that correction? You have this running flat. This was a small running flat by itself. Finish, you get a 1, 2, 3. This one doesn't look very aggressive. See this? This looks aggressive. I think you'll probably be careful here. They'll pull back. This one is sharp, so this is the most corrective one. They'll come here, they'll pull back. That will complete 1, 2, 3. This will complete 1, 2, 3, and then we'll get that trade up. You just don't want them to pull back too deep and be an expanding flat. So you got to be careful with where you could take the trade, right? We will take the trade. Now let's assume I'm wrong about them pulling back. Let's say this is a 1, 2, 3, and that's it. Well, it's not going to be, because this really is corrective. We can see that, right? And we know that if you get this and you get this, you're likely going to get them come back here. And then the trade put an entry order there. So what if you put an entry order here now and this tags you and then pull back here? You have to decide where you're going to exit that trade. So 2 ways you can exit it is: one, you can wait until they make a flag and exit, or you can put a bigger stop. And I would probably put a stop somewhere here. Calculate the stop somewhere here. Just calculate it to that level, because it can do that and pull back, right? See, this thing looks very much corrective. This piece looks like the sharpest one in this whole structure. So I wouldn't be surprised if they come back here and then go. But once they pull back here, we can put an entry order. If we get that pullback, that entry order becomes perfect. Right now you can put it, but it's not that perfect. Right? The chances are they're going to pull back. If I'm wrong, they take off, you're still in the trade. So you have to decide on that one. I would like to see the pullback first, because that would make sense to me. Go to the 1 hour. It's a 1 hour flag. After that, we're going to continue to go. What is the pound was doing here? Sorry, because I traded that yesterday. I didn't manage to close the trade, so I took the loss on that one. I should have closed it here. I saw it, but I stepped away from the computer, and then by the time I come back, it was going, and there was no sense closing it after that. It was useless. It was gone. So I just took the loss on that one. Let's go. We were trying to catch this trade here yesterday. We're trying to catch the breakout of this. And once it breaks out and it didn't go for 3 hours here, that was a closing point. By rule, you should close the trade there, right? I didn't. And then when I realized it, I was already taking the loss. So I just let it go. So take this off. But this is still a flat, but it turns out that this impulse is not finished. That impulse is going higher. Well, let's see where that takes us. Leave the flat like it is. This impulse is getting bigger. Is it a big move to the upside then? I think, yeah, it will become a bigger move to the upside now. Rather than a flat, this just pull back and take off. So if it takes off, they'll probably get way to the top here. Right? They'll probably get above this one. Probably go there, and then we'll see if they come back from that point, because this would be more like a 1, 2, 3. This is very big, right? Within this move. So we will probably get somewhere here, come back here, make a bigger flat like this, and then continue to go. Right? That will continue to go. Because now it will make sense. Now the patterns themselves here will make sense, right? You can put this like that. Okay, this one is a 1, 2, 3. This is all the consolidation in here. So you can expect this one to come somewhere like that. It's a running flat. We broke the low. I think we broke the low there. So you can expect it to come to the top there. And then we're going to get this sharp one down. This one here will have to happen from somewhere there, coming back here. And then we're going to get this sharp one up, because all of this was consolidation. See, all of this was consolidation. You got to move up. You got this consolidation. You get to move up. Now you're getting this consolidation, and you should get another move up after that, right? So let's see how far this goes. Do we have a buy setup in it? I would not buy. There's not much there to buy in the break of that top, right? And I'm not sure whether they will even break the top. Let's see whether we have a... We broke the low. Well, we tagged the low, we didn't break it, so they can break the top slightly. You can expect them to break the top slightly here. Within the 1 hour, we can expect this impulse to be equal to that because we pretty much tagged the low. They might go slightly higher than that. And then we're going to come back to this low with this one. So let's wait. We might get another sell setup there. The buy now is not interesting. I don't know how far it's going to go. It's not quite interesting. This one was this piece. Let's put this piece here. And this piece. I think we can go with that one. We might even put this piece in. I think that piece could go in as well. For a bigger flat, that makes sense. So let's see. Let's go. Where we are? Pangos. Forget about that. New Zealand Cad. Cad we did. Swiss we did. Euro Cad. Okay, so Euro Cad is still going up. It's a buy setup. We can put an entry order for. I have an entry order right now for a buy. It kind of made this yesterday, and we were wondering why we didn't come down back, but then they did come down back here, and I think we could look at this as a flat now. Right, sharp move. Somewhere you get this, you go up there, you get that. All of this happened within this move. Makes sense. Go up back now. So let's see if that proves what we think it is, a running flat. If it's a running flat, we can pull this here and assume that this should go. So they make a nice flag here. They broke. They didn't go anywhere. I actually bought this and I closed it. By rule, you buy, you close, you put your entry order above. So I had an entry order right at the top here, and then I saw 1, 2, 3. Okay, close it, put the entry order at the top. Didn't go anywhere, right? So let's see if this takes off now. If that takes off, we're expecting them to break this top, and then we'll see how far that goes. All right, so we've got an impulse. We've got a running flat. Let's see if this takes off. But the trend, you can't lose anything in it, right? It either will go or it will come back down. If it comes back, I'm not interested. If it goes up, we want the trade to the upside. So that should be a very good risk to reward trade because you can literally put your stop here with an entry order there for a target above that top. So the trade is good. If it goes, it goes. It doesn't go. If this comes lower, we just take the trade off. That's it. Yen. Okay, what is yen doing at the bottom here? Let's put yen. There's some confusion with all my charts. They got mixed up or something. So put the yen there. Yen came down. I moved my entry order for the buy lower. We're in a consolidation now. So if you take this out, we're going to look at this more as a consolidation. This is the consolidation phase because it is very corrective. That means we're going to have an impulse like this going up. Some point, this will have to break the low and then go back up like that. This would be your first flat, which means if this one is part of the correction, and I think it is part of the correction, we're going to come back here and then go. If I'm wrong about that, then this is the whole impulse here. This is a smaller correction within it, and this is the bigger correction. So this would just take off. If I'm wrong, it's going to take off. If I'm correct, they will come back here and then go. I don't care. I'm in a buy. So I'm looking for a buy. I have an entry order. We had the entry order there. We keep moving it down. I have an entry order here for a buy. So yesterday we were trying to buy it above here. We looked at that. Remember when we were trying to buy it and we said that looks very corrective. Don't trade it anymore. We had this flat running flat in there. We had a running flat in there. And then it made that top. I said, be careful, guys. You want to stay above this top because they can definitely do that. Well, they come down and they're going down. I'm not interested in the sell. I saw the sell. I'm not. You see, look at the way it's going. You have to have a lot of patience with that. So what I want this to do is come and drop here. There's a sell setup here if you're interested to drop here. Remember this sell setup we gave you yesterday if you want it? That's a sell setup, turn good. This might give you a short one here too. I don't think it's going to go very far because they may or may not break this low. That depends, right? And whether we're going to get a running flat or whether we're going to get a regular flat. So I think they might break the low. You might get a drop here. And then we're expecting that up move, expecting this up move. So let's see. There is a sell setup if you're interested. It's very short. It's not the biggest one. And then I will probably get a buy from the bottom here going up, not from that level. That one is just in case it takes off. If it's not going to take off, then let it break the low, and then we look for a buy from the bottom, like we were looking for the buy from the bottom yesterday. Right? Swiss, we already did. Euro Cad, we did this. Aussie, what is Aussie yen doing here? Oh, the Euro Cad is in the wrong place. Bring down the Euro Cad here. I see why, because I was trading the Euro Cad. That's why I got it on top there. Let's take this off. Oh, that was for the buy. Well, you closed that trade because that didn't go very far. We were looking for a buy there that didn't go. So that trade closed because it stayed there very long. It actually went much lower. So let's put this in the 1 hour. And it actually came much lower. It's still a running flat, except it's going lower. That didn't change anything. Put this for the low. We haven't broken the lows yet. So it could become an expanding flat. Take the stop off. It might become more of an expanding flat rather than a running flat. But if you're going to sell at the bottom here, better sell the Aussie dollar. Don't sell the Aussie yen. Right? Because this is not worth selling anymore. Not until we have a big consolidation. If you're going to sell this, you want to see something like this or something like this before you sell. You're not going to sell a 1 hour flag at the bottom here. Because anytime this thing could go up. So if we're going to get any sell setup at the bottom here, it has to be after we've got a very, very nice flag like this. The worst you want to see is something like this, a small one like this. That is where you get that trade. Otherwise, don't sell it. Stop selling it. Sell the Aussie dollar. Sell anything else but this. As a matter of fact, what we'll do, we'll start looking for the buy setup from this. An impulse and a flag would be the buy setup. Let's see if we get that. Because this is almost finished. Once we tag if we tag the bottom, it's our expanding flat. If we don't tag, we're turning earlier. New Zealand yen. Okay, this one broke the low. We anticipated this would break the low, but not so much downside. So here is the question with this one. We didn't break the top. So this could just be a correction in a much bigger down move. So is it going to go much more downside? Very good question. Let's see the daily. I think we have divergence in the daily. If this goes anything much more, we will, if it goes bigger than this, we'll consider a much, much bigger pattern. So right now we can assume they're making a big one like this. We haven't got a crossovers yet, but we can make a big one like that. Let's see. Can it go back all the way to the downside as a running flat with this piece? Okay, let's see what we have on the 4 hour. We didn't break the top, so the downside is very possible. It's not a running flat. It's a regular flat, so it can go down. If it goes up, it's a regular flat. If this could just be a correction from much more downside. So this is finished. We've got much more than you want in that if you were trading that. Let me take it off. That trade is more than fulfilled. And let's see these. Take these off now. And let's see where we go with this one now. Take that off and take this off. Okay, the deep pullback doesn't mean anything as yet in terms of the downside. What would confirm the downside, what is going to confirm that it's going to go much more downside is when you get a flag like this. That confirms total downside, right? Or something like that. So if we get a flag like that here today, we'll confirm big downside, which means much, much more downside. Because once this starts going that deep, it will become the bigger correction. This will be the biggest correction in the making. So we can go a lot more downside if that happens. Right? This doesn't have to go with the New Zealand. Remember, the yen is still upside. So these can go up because of the yen, although New Zealand looks much more downside. So let's see what we get here. We'll watch this piece. Right now, you don't want to sell any 1 hour flag here. You definitely don't want to sell any 1 hour flag at the bottom of this impulse because it's unlikely going to go very far before you start to get a correction. What we want is a 4 hour correction, a 1 hour correction, not flag a correction. So we want something like this, something like that, something maybe like this even. That is how much? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 4 hours. Okay, that's about 2 days correction. So you need a day correction, a 1 day correction, which means we want to see something like this. And then we'll consider this total downside. Something like this would be perfect. Then we will say, because this will start to correct. We know that for a fact. So be careful. 1 hour trades here. Take the 1 hour trades in the New Zealand dollar. The opportunity for downside is much bigger than this one. Cadian? Okay, this one gave the very sharp pullback and it's here. So this might be making a bigger correction here. See? We've got a sharp move up and we came down. So at some point, this is going to go back up. You get a running flat and we can look for another sell. If we get that, if that confirms the running flat, we look for another sell. Can you trade this here going down in this piece? Your call. How far would the running flat go? The question about selling this is only how far you think the running flat is going to go, because it could do this, it could do this, it could do this, it could do this, and then you get this. Right? We know that. So if you want to sell here, it's not a bad idea. You just have to manage the trade properly. Right? Because we don't know how far the running flat goes before we get the next sharp impulse, and you actually have a sell setup here. This one has a sell setup, right? So if you want to take that trade, or you want to look for something else with a CAD or something else with a yen that you can trade, might make sense. But this one is not a bad one. The only thing is you'll have to just guess when, manage the trade, so when that happens, it doesn't take you out. Okay, this is one you can sell because this has more downside. I think we're likely going to break all these lows. We're very close to that. If we get a consolidation here, that's a good sell because we're going to get an impulse like this to the downside, right? Something like this. Assuming this was the correction, or assuming this was part of the correction too, right? This up move and that up move with a 1, 2, 3 in here. So this could come a little more before they go. How low this can go? Let's look at a bigger picture. Can go pretty low. Can come like this if we're assuming there's going to be like this one. Then we can go a little more. You can see that even if you move this like that, you can go quite a lot more. And then we would look for this running flat to the upside. So this is one you can sell if we get a sell setup. 1 second, guys. Okay, guys, sorry for that pause. Let's go. Yes. So what we're going to do is we can look for sell setups on this one. Let's see if we have a 1 hour flag or a 4 hour flag. We're getting something here. I kind of think it's a running flat. We're getting a small running flat here. So the best way to trade it is wait for the up move. If we get an up move, then we can put an entry order here with a stop here. So on the down move, they'll take us in. I'm not quite sure what's the pattern in this. Let's go look at it. Okay, this was a small one of its own. This was a small one of its own because this dropped. This would be your first pullback. This would be 1, 2, 3. Maybe like this. Let this go back up to about this level. If you get a pullback there, we can put an entry order here with a stop here for the next move down. Right? So if we get that structure, if this goes up back, perfect. We'll take the trade because this potentially can go much more. If it just crawls down, if this keeps crawling down, we'll have to wait for that pullback. And when you get that sharp pullback like this, then you can put the entry order. Because if you go with this now, they might tag you and pull you a little and then do that. I don't know what if it becomes an expanding flat right before they go? You don't want that to happen to you. So let's wait for the correction. It will be a running flat, and that means we'll get more downside. Aussie Swiss. Okay, so let's look at this pattern again. Go back to the 1 hour. And this is still part of this down move. It started to go up yesterday, but it didn't go very far. So if you took the buy and there was a buy setup we took here, I'm pretty sure you got out for break even because there were many hours for you to come out of that thing for break even. That was the entry, and you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. Come on, that's break even trade if it doesn't go right. You know that. So now we're here. What is it doing? Nothing much. We don't have anything that is going right now. I still expect this move to go because we're still assuming that this is this one, right? This is 1, 2, 3, and we're gonna get the up move. Well, the first one wasn't the up move. Let's see if we get it today. Let's see if we get an up move here today. We'll buy again, right? And if it becomes a break even, no problem. You didn't have a sell setup here. You definitely wouldn't be selling that because this move is sharp. It is 1, 2, 3, but it's sharp. You wouldn't be selling it. Let's see if we get a buy in it. Aussie Cad. This was a sell if you wanted to sell, right? You got a 1, you got a 2, you got a 3. That was a sell. I don't know when did this happen. We weren't paying attention to this. You even had a flag here for a sell. This was what time? That was around 1 o'clock my time. Why did we miss it? We didn't pay attention to that. Let's see. I don't like that sell anyways. Anyway, this thing is just going down. Wait for a pullback. If we get a pullback, we can sell. Not very nice. There is a flat here, but it's not very clear. Let's see if we get another pullback like this. If we get a pullback like that, that would be a perfect sell setup. I can see this happening. If that happens, we go for the sell from the top here. So let's see if we get that pullback first. We might even buy that to the upside. We do have divergence, so it's possible. Let's see if we can get it. If you get a 1 hour flag to seller, you can take the trade. You just have to manage it again. But if we get that sharp move, that would be a perfect setup. Aussie New Zealand, well, it might come down now finally for this one. You're going to get this trade down. So if you get a flag here, go for the trade down to this level. Look for that running flat. And then upside. Well, it could come more, maybe an expanding flat and then upside. So look for the sell setup. Let's see. We're getting a flag here for a sell, so it makes sense. Okay, you're getting a good one too because this is already getting an up move. You get a 1, 2, 3 here. Let it go back up like that. Put your entry order here or here, depending when you want, with a stop here for the down move. If it drops, you get the trade. If it doesn't drop on you, you don't have to worry about it. I remember we were trying to sell this and that went back. No problem. You're not in the trade, right? You could have bought this if you want because there was a running flat here, but no telling how far that could go. So this one is a sell setup. We could actually put the entry order here already and wait for that trade. Because the down move is a big one. You're going to get this drop to the downside, so you might get a very big drop. That would make sense. And let's put an arrow to see what we were anticipating. It could be more than that, but at least this is what we were anticipating. All right, that move down. Come back to this level from this one at the top there. So let's see if you get the trade. It's not a bad one. That should work. Euro CAD, we were already with an entry order there. If it goes lower, we'll take it off. It has to come much lower before we take it off, but for now, it's good. Euro New Zealand. If you're in this one, it's still going. You just have to move your stops. Buying at the top here. Now, maybe we could still go. There's still more to go. And I think we might get to the bigger one. We might eventually get to the bigger one, although I think they will only make a small one. So we might get this trade here, this sharp one up, right? Although this flat was a bigger flat, it looks like we're going to go to that one. So I'll take this off, and we're going to head for this one. The size of this is the size of this one here, right? So when we get there, we'll see what happens. From that point, we were expecting one more downside. From that point, we're going to expect this to be a running flat. One more down, and then the upside, right? So let's see. We have buy setups, and it might not give you big pullbacks. If they're going to go there, they're going to go right now, which means you're not going to have big pullback. You'll just get flags, and you can buy. So you get flags here. Put your stop here. Go for the flag. Get another flag, go for it, get another flag. Maybe at some point you'll get a deeper correction. Go for that as well. All right, so these are buy setups you can go with because you're not, this is just gonna go finish the move and then come down. So don't expect anything much there. Just follow it and let it go. Euro yen took me out for break even. It's coming lower. So we'll see how far it goes. It's still a flat. This still is part of this because this that up move is corrective. So it just becomes a bigger, maybe even expanding flat. For now, still running flat. But it could even be an expanding flat. Once we get to this here, we start looking for the buy setups. Once you get here, start looking for the buy setups now. There might be a smaller sell setup here. Probably get a small trade down here. If you're interested, that's a trade. You can put a stop here, go for one drop, and then look for the upside. Do I think this could be the start of a down move from that point? No, I don't think so. Right, I didn't think this one was the start of a down move. Remember, we looked at that. We didn't think this was the start of the down move because this whole piece here was looking like some big corrective structure in that piece there. So maybe that was it. Maybe this was it. Maybe this piece was the running flat for that one there. With this being sharp, but all the correction being at the top of it there. That's not a common running flat, but that is possible. So you've got one up here, you've got one there, you've got one up, and we're just making another running flat. We're just making another running flat here for upside. We know where they're going, right? To the upside, we know where this thing is going. It's going to this top, right? It's going all the way to that top. So we'll probably see this go here again, pull back, do some correction, go again there. Let's see. If we get the trade today, we'll buy. The buy is a good one. I don't think we're coming down deep. I don't see the big sell set up in it. So go back to the 4 hour. If we're going to go for a big sell setup, I want to see a correction. Not just a flag. I want to see a correction for a big sell setup. I don't see the correction there. If we get a buy setup, we'll definitely take it. Euro Swiss. Okay. If you were tagged by that, I hope you managed to close it there. Don't keep the stop, just close the trade. They're probably making a flag here. Put the entry order above the top. Wait for this flag to form. It's not formed, is it? And then put the entry order above the top for the upside. Can it come back down? It can, but they'll probably likely have to break this before they come. All right, if we're going to come down, then there's likelihood I think they might break that top and then come down for a flat like this. That would make sense if they want to come down, but the upside is very possible. And the upside in this is possible. The only thing about the upside is the depth of this one that is not so good. But otherwise, that's a very good one. So close the trade. You probably take a couple pips. It's going to go back up a little, then close the trade. It's going to make a flat here, and then we'll see if we get a buy on the flat. We'll put the entry above the top once you get the flag. Euro Aus. Okay, Euro Aus went up more. We're anticipating a 1, 2, 3 here. That didn't happen, go more, so we'll come with this whole piece down. It's finished, which means this piece was all the consolidation. We didn't get a bigger one. Put it like this for this one, and like this for that one, right? That was all the flat there. So you get 1, 2, 3. This one is going to the top, as we anticipated. So we probably got some more to the upside there. Let's see how much. Where's the top? Let's put an entry. Yep, you have some more. We'll probably break that top. So let's see the 4 hours. Yep, we'll probably break that top, and then we start to look for sell setups. We've got a perfect flat. See? You got this, except that's expanding, right? So we've got 1, we got 2. We're going to get this much more, and then we're looking for sell setups. So there's a buy remaining there before we get the sell. Right, let's see where we did daily. Oh, this is going to go. Let's see how far it's going to go. Let's squeeze this up, put it in a weekly, see how far that could go. Quite a lot. We might be coming to retest this low. See? We could be going to retest that low right now. Because we've got, I don't have the big picture for this, but we can see this, we can see that correction up, and this is starting to come down. So after that, when you get a drop, you might get a bigger one. You get a drop, you come here, probably somewhere here, and then the upside. Depends on what the bigger picture of this is. I'll have to look at that. That's interesting. But we're breaking out of this structure. We're breaking out of that structure completely. We're making a flag there for downside. Right? That is a perfect flat pattern for downside. We know it. Well, you've seen many of those before, right? Many of those flat patterns. And that's a perfect one. Here is a good example of a flat pattern like that. See this? This one was contracting. You can look at a better one here. 1, 2, 3, also contracting. It has a lot of contracting flats in it. This one would be a regular one. Let's see. You can look at this as a 1 running flat. Then you have 1 up. You got this one down here for a smaller correction. You got another correction. You got another correction here. And then keep going. So we've got a big one here, and we're getting a smaller one here. This is interesting because this move down should be about this size going down after this flat. All right, that's the bigger flat in it. This is smaller ones. This is a smaller one. This is the bigger one. Once that is finished, and we started downside, we're going to get a number of smaller ones going down. 4 hour. And we have some more to go. Let's go to the 1 hour. Probably get a buy setup today. Let's see if we get a buy setup. You want a flag here? We'll see. We got a running flat there. Why did I miss it? I didn't see this. We got a running flat there. See this correction in here? Okay, let's get a flag here, and then we go for this trade. This is a nice trade, actually. So any 1 hour flag there could be a buy. Let's wait for the 1 hour flag. And then we go for the buy. Likely they're going to break the top. Very likely we'll break that top. So let's go. Euro pound. You're consolidating, so maybe we go for the buy again. Let's see. This is a small one pull back here. So yes. It's a small pullback to this level, and then look for the buy setup. At least one more impulse up, and this could be the one that will trigger the big move up, right? We're expecting a big move up back to this level and then downside. See, we want this to go here, and then that's downside. This would be a perfect flat pattern for downside. Just like the Euro Aus, except it's smaller. I think the Euro Aus is a bigger one, right? So we've got a trade here today, and then downside. Wait for this to pull back, then put the entry order. Don't put the entry order now. Wait for this here to pull back into this level. See this? 1, 2, 3. Let it pull back here, and then we put the entry order for that trade. This is a nice one. I like it. Maybe they will even break the top a little first, then come back. So we've got this up, a little up, then down. We've got this some more up and then down. Euro Swiss. Be careful with this. This one might be finished here. You might just get one spike up and then down, right? For this flat, see? 1, 2, 3. One spike and then down. So be careful with that. Let's see the Euro Yen. Euro Yen is the only one that doesn't have downside because of the yen. This definitely looks more upside. Euro New Zealand. Yep, a little more up before the down start. You do have a little more up here. You just have to wait for any flag and then go for this trade and then downside. And Euro Cad. Okay, so if we follow that logic, once we break this top, we're going down. 1, 2, 3. This would be more downside. So if we get that trade, once we break that top, you start moving your trade into profit. And then we would look for sell setups because all of them look, except the Euro Yen. The only one, the yen pairs are not out of sync with everything, right? Remember the same thing with the Aussie yen. It's out of sync with the rest of the Aussie trades. So that might be a yen movement. Let's ignore the Euro Yen. Look at all of them. All of them has a pattern that gives you one more up and then downside. This would be a perfect flat pattern for downside if this doesn't take off like a rocket, but just stops here and start to go back down. So if everything is going to do that, watch for a Euro up move, correction, and then downside. Pound Aus, we already know this is going to do a little more there. We have a trade. We can look for that trade, and then we look for the downside, or skip that and look for the downside. Pound Cad, we definitely want this downside, but I don't think it's ready. So this thing is a mess. It actually got me out of the trade, and then it came down back here, but it is not coming down like it's going to fall, right? So we've got like a 1, 2, 3 up. We've got a 1, 2, 3 down. I think this should go back up here. And then we will go. This will go down. This will absolutely go down. There's no question of whether this would come here. We're going to come lower. I don't think this one is going to come. It could be if that is a contracting flat. If we look at that as a contracting flat, so it would be a weird contracting flat. Right? If we look at this as a contracting flat, with this piece as a 1, 2, 3 in it, a little weird. But if that is the case, then yes, it can come down. If we go back up to the top there, then it makes more sense for this to be 1, 2, 3 here. Come back here, and this could go down, right? There is a big flat in all of them. We saw that in the trading room the day before, and we were like, hope we don't get it here, but we're getting it. Remember this one? So we're likely doing the same thing. Go back up there, get a big flat here. Not as big as this one, but a big enough flat, and then downside, right? So what if they're going to go down now? Then do we have a sell setup? No, we don't. So you don't have a sell setup here. We'll only get a sell setup here if this comes here, go back up there and make this flat. I'm expecting them to go back up there and come to the top here. But once it goes back up here, we can put a sell setup here and see if we get buy setups to go. Right? If we get flags to buy to the top here. If we don't get flags to buy, we can ignore that and go for the sell if they drop. Right? We want the sell, that's for sure. But if they're going to go back up there, we can buy it. That's more than 100 pips. From here to there, yeah, that's 160 something pips. We can look for a buy setup here. If this starts to break, look for a buy setup and see whether this goes down or whether it continues to go up. I think it's going to go up. Look for the buy setup today. We'll do it in the trading room today. Pound New Zealand. Okay, the question is how high this goes before it starts to go down too, right? Because this looks very corrective, this pattern. Looks very corrective. We've got a big flat in the bottom here. We've got another flat there, and they're going up. So what we're going to do is buy every flag we get until it stops. So if you get a flag, you take the trade, and you are getting a flag here. I don't know if we go with this one or if we go with this one. See? Or all together incorporate. Let's see in the 15. This one looks more possible. This might make its own flat here. And then we can go for the trade. And that would just be one more impulse up, if it goes. Pound New Zealand, let's see, Pound Yen. Pound Yen is going, all the Pound trades are going down a little more than expected, but it's still running flat. That has not changed, right? It's still a running flat. It's a running flat. It could be even the next expanding flat. It's going to go back up. The only time you stop trading this to the upside is if it gets this. You stop looking for the upside is if we get a correction here. Then we'll assume that, you know what, this one belongs to something else. But for now, we're going to go with this, right? So we're going up. If we get buy setups, we'll take the trade. Yesterday, we didn't get it. We were assuming this would have made a flag here. They didn't make a flag. Actually, if this comes here, if this comes here like that, put an entry order for a sell. One. And if they drop, you get another sell. You get one more. This was a short sell as well. At a short trade, you take profit. You probably close the trade there. If we get this, it goes there. Once it takes in, we'll put it to break even and see how far it goes. It could go more down, but eventually it's going to go up, right? So there could be more downside. This could be a running flat in the making. Pound Swiss, stay out of this one. This one is one heck of a confusing one. Stay out of it. Okay. We might be heading back to the top there, but that is useless. Stay out of it. New Zealand Swiss. Okay, this was a good sell. This one came down a lot. So now we have 1, 2, and then we have 1, 2, 3, because this is a flat in the middle of that. So this is 3. At some point, this has to go back up before it goes down. So you have to get this piece. At some point, you'll have to get that, right? So let's see if we have any setup here for buy or for sells. Okay, look for a sell setup. Wait for this to come back here. And then we'll get this flat, and then we'll go with the sell. One more sell, take profit, and then look for the buy. The buy might not be interesting. If it goes like this, you wouldn't get a good buy setup. But you'll get the sell again after that. New Zealand Cad. Let's see what this is doing. Oh, this is well within its range. We're going to assume that we're making this bigger one. You can assume we're in this running flat. So this was a good sell yesterday. I don't know if anybody sold that. That was a good sell. If not, wait here for flags. You could get one more down, but if they start a turn, we buy. You could get one more down. You could make a correction here. They could make a correction here. Make one more drop. Take the trade. Without any correction, don't jump in the trade. Let it finish what it's doing and then look for the upside. If you get a correction, you get a buy setup. If not, you're looking for an upside. Cat Swiss. Okay, it's correcting. Look for a buy. Take this off. That didn't go anywhere. That would have been a break-even trade try to get, but this is giving you a corrective structure here, right? They kind of do this, do this, do this. They come here, they probably do that. You could come back here, put an entry above the top. If they come back here, then we look for a flag from the bottom here going up. But if they don't, if they break out, you want the trade. So either two ways they can go now. They can go right now and break out. You can take that trade, or it can come here, come back down here, and then go. If it's going to come back down, we'll see if we get the sell, or we'll wait for it to come here and then look for the buy. So that's a consolidation for upside. Let's go. I'll do the entire piece. I know it's a long webinar, but people will select the parts they want as we go along, right? Because doing 3 webinars does not make sense. Good. So look for a buy setup here in copper. If you want, there's a short buy setup to come to this level. See this impulse, come to that level, and then we look for the sell back. If this thing come all the way to the top here, we will have a flat pattern when you come down here for one more up. And it will become a flat for one more. So there's a buy setup. You may want to take the trade. What if it's a running flat? What if they go like this? Then do this and then go. Right? This could be a very nice trade. So might be worth taking. Let's see. Oil. Okay, if you sell, close it. You're not supposed to sell here, by the way. You're supposed to sell here, or you're supposed to sell here based on that pattern, right? We just put it there yesterday from before they do, since the London webinar. But once you get this, you figure out you're going to sell at the different spots. So, but in any case, if you sell it, close it, take it off, put an entry order here for the sell, and wait for the correction. I don't think we have enough correction in this thing. If we're going to go down big time, it could still drop. Put an entry for the sell, because they could just make a small flag here and drop, and then you get a bigger correction. Right? Remember, this could start a big move to the downside. We did it in the trading room already, right? This could trigger a very big correction. This might be the biggest correction because we have divergence here. So this might be a much bigger impulse before you get a correction and then that and then go. Right? Or we come and retest the low. We retest the low based on the big running flat we have. So put an entry for the sell. Put an entry here because they can drop anytime. If they drop, you want it. If they go higher, if it goes higher, no problem. If it goes higher, then you look for the sell from the top. Can you look for a buy setup here? Maybe. If I don't think they're starting that correction to the upside yet. But if you think they're starting it, wait for a flag. You don't have a flag anywhere. Wait for this to make a flag and then go for the trade. Right? That would be the buy setup. UK oil, same thing. Put an entry for the sell. If you sold this one, you would have sold it from this level. If you sold that, take profit. Put an entry for the sell under the low. If they go higher, again, you can decide whether you get a buy setup. The sells are always good because the corrections are bigger, right? Just put it, they can drop immediately. You want the trade if they drop. If you're going to get a flag here, then you can go for a buy to retest this area, maybe a bigger correction in there. Natural gas, you're getting your sell setup. Remember I said don't buy it, you're getting a sell setup here. Probably drop to this level, break this. There's a low at the bottom here, not very far away. Look, there's a low here. We're trying to get to that low, right? We're trying to get to that low. And when we get there, when we get to this low here, we look for the upside. So we can bring this back way down to the bottom. It's not an expanding flat anymore. It's most likely, this was all the correction, right? This here was all the correction. That piece there, and we're literally coming down back here. So you can take these out and take this out. We're looking for a 1, 2, 3 structure, which would be more like 1, 2, 3 to this level and then back up. So we might just as well go and finish that move. There's a sell setup there, so you can take the trade. Go back to the 1 hour. And you're getting a sell setup for the downside. That's a good trade. Okay, let's go, guys. This is a very long one, so I'll try to go as quick as I can. You're getting a sell setup, short-term trade, take the trade. See? You are getting a sell setup here. Can this go up back one more? Let's say 1, 2, 3, and go up like this. It's possible. But by the time they get to that top, the chances are they're going to come back here. So I prefer go for the sell if the sell happens. Right, if you get the sell setup of an entry under the low, that's a better one. If they go up, ignore the upside. It's limited now. Right? So what you're trying to do, you're in a sideways move. You're in a big sideways move, and you're trying to get this to come back to this level and then go up. Right? If you get that trade, that's a good risk to reward trade. If you don't get it and this go up, let's assume, come on, this thing is getting out of. Yep. If this goes up, all they have to do is break that up and then come back. Right? We don't know that they're going to break out. Because this correction is not enough. I think you follow what I'm saying, right? Let's go. Okay, if you wanted to sell this, this was a good place to sell it, or you probably would have sold it here. Either of those two was good. I think yesterday in the trading room, we moved that up to this level. Take it out. If you sold here, take it out, put an entry here. Take it out and put an entry under this low. That's a good sell setup. That's a flag and it could drop. This could drop quite a while. I think we looked at this yesterday. We said this could drop very deep back. So go for the sell. I like it. It's a nice flag forming there, right? You can get a good sell setup. S&P 500, same here. You're getting a sell setup. See this? It's probably going to go up a little more, but that's a sell. Go for it. How far? Well, when it drops, you'll see. It's dropping right now. We've had a correction. We had a big correction here. You could actually make an argument for all of that as a correction. Or all of this, or you can even put that piece on for a running flat. And look for this sell setup. I like it. DAX. Take out the sell. It's not very valid. It might come down, but you're still in some kind of a consolidation here, see? They might just come like this and do this. So probably leave it for now. Let's go. AU200, let's see. We'll get back to the top. It's going to probably go back to this top and then look for a sell. All right, see that sideways move there? Up, down, up, down, up. There's a flat in here as well. We'll look at that, and then up back to this top and then down again. You want to buy it to that top? That's a short trade. I'm not sure if you're going to get it. Right? It's a short trade. If you get a good risk to reward, it's worth it. If not, then let it go. Wait for it to go to the top, and then, because on the downside they can break out to the, they can break the low, right? On the downside, this thing can break down. It's not going to be a big trade, but if you get it from the top here, if you get it from the top here to come down here, you might get, if you get it from there, you might get a good risk to reward, because when they break that low, they're going to go back up. We're literally making a flat here. Right? We're not, I don't think we're, and I don't think the flat ended here. It's not like this is the start of the impulse. It could be, but go for the buy if you want short term and see. Right? I don't think this is the flat pattern. I don't think this is all. Right? I think there's more to it. They'll come here and drop one more, break all these lows, and then go back up. It will go more higher. We looked at it in the trading room yesterday. There was higher space to go because there's a big weekly running flat there that we need to break the top of. Nifty. Okay. Go for this piece. And when it gets to the top there, move your stop or take profit, because they can come here and they can come back down again. This would be something like 1, 2, 3. Come back here for 1, 2, 3. And then we'll see if all of this happens, you're going up. So look for a short-term buy setup there. Tesla, go for the buy. It's coming down. It will probably come and break this low again, like this. But then it's upside. Amazon, upside. This one, this is what? Okay, this is still looking upside. If you sold that, it's not going in. We close the trade. It might go a little more up. It's correcting to the upside. See, they're correcting to the upside. So this might go one more up. And if they start to do this, look for the sell. And you can consider whether you want those small buys. PA Finance. Okay, the upside is not ready, but it's a correction for upside. So you probably get this trade here to that level, and you could probably come back here. So it's a small trade when they get here, right? See, they're consolidating. You have this 1, 2, 3 up. You got a 1, 2, 3 down. You're getting a 1, 2, 3 back to this level. And then the chances are you're going to come down like this. So there's a short buy setup and then down. Reliance, upside. This piece here is upside. This is upside, but then all of this will be probably down. So you might just make a bigger flat there. You can go for the buy. I don't know how high the buy will go. Come back all the way to the top here and then downside. Bitcoin. You're getting a buy setup. Put an entry order here if you like. And see if this happens to do that. Right? That would be the trade setup. Can it break out? Yeah, we broke the low. I think we broke the low, so we can break out as well. Or we make a bigger correction. They come to this level and come back down here. But you can get this trade if you want to buy. Again, if you want to buy at that price. Technically, that's the trade. Whether you want to buy, it's your choice. That's a choice. That's not a trade. That's a choice. I would not buy at this price. If I want to buy it, I'll wait until it come back down again and just let it go, right? Do I think it's going to 100,000? I have no idea. I don't think it's going to go there now. It might go there in the next impulse up after a big correction. Can it go now? It's possible. You make a choice, buy here and see if it goes. XRP. So we might get that running flat eventually. So you can go for buys. You see this consolidation here? If that happens, go for the buy, because we might get a running flat in the big picture, not the regular flat we're looking for. So this piece might just crawl its way up and crawl its way up and crawl its way up to the top before they do this and then go. You can buy these and then sell back, right? You can just follow it where you would like to sell, put the entry orders to sell and let it come back. If it is coming down, it's going to, you know, if you get to sell it, you sell it. If not, you wait for it to come here and buy more. Okay, a lot of traders asked for this one. That tether, dot tether, and there's a few more that you guys are asking for. I'll try to see if I can put about 2 or 3 more on. And stocks, somebody asked for Facebook, and a few more. I'll probably put that on tomorrow. We'll put some more stocks on. Those will be mostly for the weekly outlook, not the daily trade, because the daily webinar is so long. I don't mind going on, but traders, you get tired if you watch it. But if you're going to watch pieces that you want, then that's okay. We'll see. So this piece should come back here. There should be a downside in this piece here. Some point it's going to come back here and then go up, right? So you get more like a 1, 2, 3, and then upside. Now, can this piece here work its way more to the upside? Yeah, this could go back there. This could go back there and then come here and go there and come here and go there and come here and go there and then do this and then go. You will get this eventually. When you will get it, that's a question. So if you want to trade in this range, if you want to trade in that range, let's say you want to trade inside this range, go for a buy setup. Wait for this to go up, make a flag, and then go for this trade. See? Make a flag like this, and then go for that trade. Make a flag like this, go for this trade. Make a flag like this, go for this trade. Make a flag like this, go for that trade. So wait for this to make a flag here. Go for the trade, it breaks the top, take profit. It breaks the top, take profit. It breaks the top, take profit. Because this would come back down again, and then they'll repeat that until they drop for this big one here. When they drop for that, then you can go for longer term buys. You can buy it and keep it for longer term. So it's pretty easy. It's not that difficult. How long this will happen, I have no idea. That could go on for a while. You can look at the patterns, each one individually, but that's a long process. Okay, this one we're looking at, and this one would probably give you a buy setup here. But be careful because this is the B part of this whole structure. See that? It's going to come back here. If this is real, if this wick is real, we'll come back here. If the wick is not real, which means the down move stopped somewhere here, then this would go up like this and then come back here and go. They're all making corrections. This is a big corrective structure in the making. I don't know if that wick is real. ETH, more downside. It's consolidating, so you get a sell setup here, right? This is a sell setup right now forming. Put a sell entry in if they drop you in the trade. Dash. Come on. We're stuck. Really, even my computer decided it's enough. Let's go with Dash. Yeah, Dash, you have a short-term sell setup. It's a short-term sell setup because they're dropping very short and until you break that low. I'd see they're very short drops in it. We have a big move here. This will probably just give you a short one here and then upside. I want this to go up. See? So the bigger trade would be to the upside like this and then downside again. So you better to wait for that buy setup than to take the short sell. The short is one drop only and then look for the buy setup. This one you probably thrown. You want this to come back here. Look for a trade like that and then upside. So if you get a sell setup here, go for it. Can it give you the sell now? Yeah, you could probably put an entry order here under this low. If they drop, that's a trade. What if they go up like this? This would be a flat. You're going to make one more high, break this top, and then you still will come down. So the buy might not be that interesting because this sharp move has to go. Once you get this sharp move out of the way, then the buy becomes interesting. If we put that sharp move with another one, which I'll have to look through the whole chart to decide which one, because there's a lot of sharp move, which one you would want to put it in, then it might be that something in the past, and this is just going. So what you can do is go for this buy. Go for this buy and try to manage it to break even when it goes, because it's going to make it spike like this. Put it to break even, because if you don't, they can come back here. I don't know how you trade this, whether you can put the break even, whether you can sell it back. What's the process? I have no idea. I'm telling you technically what I think could happen here. This could go up, but this sharp move I would like to see out of the way, which means I'd like to see a sharp pullback before you go for longer term buys. LTC, it's coming down. Let's see what we're doing here now. Okay, if they break this level, it looks like we're going up. If we break this level here, if we break out of that structure, to be precise, take this off. If you break out of that structure here and you get a flag, go for a trade to retest the top and then look for the downside. This will come. It's a matter of whether you make a 1, 2, 3 here before you come down. Well, it's easy. If it makes a flag, go for that trade. Right? It looks like we're going to get it. We're going to get this first. You're going to get that first, and then you're going to get the trade down, which This is a more complex pattern than the simple one I was showing you. Then you're going to get this one down, and then you're going to go. So if you get that set up, go for it. Wait for the flag. Don't just buy the trade crazily. If you guys don't understand the way I work in the terms of the strategy, you might want to have your own strategy, whether it fits your strategy to trade. Because I would wait for this to break out and make a flag before I go for that trade. And ADA. This is the last one. And this one is okay. It's coming down. It's coming down nicely when it comes to this area here. See if you get a flag for sell here, or if you get a buy setup. Either will work. But I would like it to come to about this area before I start looking for the buy. It's going sideways. It's going to be a complex sideways pattern. I think we're going to do this and drop. This would be a running flat. You get a trade and then look for upside, basically. So, okay, guys, that's it. It's a long webinar, pretty long. I hope we can work with two sets. I'll take out some of these and I'll create two watch lists. One watch list for the weekly webinar, and where you're going to get all these trades only once a week, and one for the daily webinar, which is mostly what we are focusing on in our daily webinars. Right? Thank you. If you watch this to the end, you're really good. Thank you for my traders watched it to the end in the trading room. You guys are great. Thank you very much. I'll stop the recording and we'll go straight into the trading room.